Good evening, good afternoon, or even good morning to those of you who have tuned in at a time that's convenient to your own lifestyle. Welcome to Eat the Storms, a poetry podcast. My name is Damien B. Donnelly. This is episode 14, season 7, and it's our final official episode of this season. And I say official episode because we do have one more episode coming up in a few weeks, our very special episode that arrives in October, and it will be the audio companion to the Storms Journal, issue 3, where contributors will share poetry and prose from the third Storms anthology to be published next month. But for today, we have yet another diverse episode. Right now, it's time to slice the cake, brew the tea, perhaps pour a little brandy into the coffee, or freshen up that wine glass, because this is episode 14, season 7 of Eat the Storms, the poetry podcast, with your host, Damien B. Donnelly, hoping that you all enjoy the show. We are kicking off this final episode of Eat the Storm Season 7 with a poet and writer who's joining us from Northern California, although she also lives in Barcelona in Spain. Today she is going to be sharing poems from her poetry collection Remember This Day, which was published this year by Finishing Line Press. With a bachelor's degree in social work from the Hebrew University in Jerusalem and an MBA from the American University in Washington, she writes poetry that draws on a lifetime of experience. She was deafened in her 30s and learned how to navigate social, professional and family relationships while documenting that process in newspaper articles, magazines and now her poetry. With work appearing in places like Prompt for the Press, Bubble Literary Magazine, Bad Dreams, Good Dreams, and an upcoming children's book called Who Wants to Be Friends with a Dragon, published by Dorrance Publishing Company, I'm delighted to welcome to Eat the Storms for the first time, Linda Drattell.
Hello, my name is Linda Drattell. The following set of poems is about my family, my husband, our son and daughter, my aging horse who has since passed away, and one of my goats who has also recently passed away. The first poem is for my husband. Whale watching. We rented a tandem kayak, followed our guide's instructions. After a few miscues and mutual what-fors, our paddles skimmed and sank the rippling surface of the ocean. We blessed the sun's embrace and the breeze's brush, searched for whales, waited patiently for telltale signs. A breach, the lob of a tail, a fin slap, a sudden vertical spray. Then, in the distance, we saw them. Warships rising out of nowhere. There my husband hurrahed and thrust his paddle into the water, aimed our kayak toward them, sliced the sea as fast as he could. Wide-eyed, I gripped my own paddle, struck the water with equal vengeance, countered his forward stroke, and attempted to steer us back to shore. I also wrote the following poem for my husband, who happily is still alive, but I am always in fear of losing. When your heart no longer beats. I know one day you will take your last breath, leave me and grasp the cold hand of death. I want you to touch me as you pass on. Leave your fingers impress after you've gone. Pillows behind you, quilt on your lap. I'll stroke your head gently, pretend it's a nap. Your head will nod slowly as if you agree. I cannot survive this. It should have been me to go first. I should have been first. The following poem is for our son, him. His birth family has found him. They hail from Colombia, all 154 of them. He is my beloved son, raised with love from birth. His birth family has found him. I give him space to embrace his familia, all 154 of them. I treasure him, our family of 4. His birth family has found him. They treasure his attention, call him each day, all 154 of them. We are his destiny. They are his birthright. His birth family has found him, all 154 of them. And this poem is for our daughter, her. She is an orchid we have watered, fertilized with nourishment and love. Her stem is slim but strong. She knows only one way to grow, toward open space, grasping reachable air. Her gentle bouquet cascades along the soft curve of her arm, a tender waterfall of blossoms. She faces the sun, commanding the light to find her, feed her. She presses forward single-mindedly away from the soil, as if she's waving a winning lottery ticket. Her petals brush each other and share a laugh. Her lush leaves find the breeze and dance their heart out. The next poem is about my horse. Tempest. Rain slashes parallel to the bespattered sodden field, piercing darts propelled by unruly wind. The ground, a spongy, bald expanse where grass once grew but died in the drought, allows a horse's weight to leave watery footprints, sufficiently deep for frogs to lay their eggs, if there were any. There aren't any. The rain has come too late, too much at once. The media calls it a bomb cyclone, an atmospheric river event. Over the course of one day, an empty barrel in my backyard collects 6 inches of rainwater. I drive to the farm past fallen tree branches, steer carefully through gale winds, grab my horse's soaked nylon halter from the top rung of the pasture's steel enclosure, run through the downpour to the middle of the field where Vegas stands quietly, and place the halter over his graying face. I lead him, thinned, aging shadow of him, to the warmth of the barn and offer him grain in one of the dry stalls. He balks, grunts a vexed snort, thrashes his neck, kicks the side of the barn with his left front hoof, disgusted with limits set by others. He refuses the grain, refuses my touch, rears up at the horse in the stall next to his. He wants nothing to do with the barn, prefers the freedom of the pasture in the maelstrom. He calms down when I lead him back outside into the stinging rain, the wind whipping around us. The next poem is about my goat who suffered from severe arthritis over the past few years. Nutmeg's jacket. I feed my goat extra grain in an effort to help him keep on weight, which he loses anyway, like loose chain through a hole in one's pocket. The farm manager is worried about the freezing temperatures that has made him a jacket. This jacket is impressive, thick plaid cloth with leather piping lined for warmth. It covers his shoulders, reaches midway down his sides. Stitching shows where to center it along his back, a mozzetta of sorts. The grain is not fattening him. The jacket, secured by Velcro closures, keeps coming undone and constantly falls to the wayside, like so many good intentions. And this last poem I wrote when I was a teenager, intended for all of us dealing with the struggles life throws at us. It's called The Torrent and the Tree. Why does it struggle so? Its branches tremble and shiver against that which will inevitably overcome it. The biting rain flogs its leaves. The raw wind mauls its branches. The irate river, pulsing and rupturing the embankment, whips up slumbering silt and loosens the hold of its roots. Lawless rapids sweep around it triumphantly, dragging the tree to a slow, prostrate death. Yet it resists, as if sheer will can repel the forces which assault it. A few extra minutes of life, worth the agony. The tree twists and twines with a pluck it did not know it possessed. Its impaled soul refuses the sweet death that beckons it. It seems to know why it is there. Its defiant arms are streaked with rugged lines from splintering cracks. Its trunk scarred with raw nubs, where young branches fanning budding leaves once grasped the sky. As it sinks to the will of the aggressor, the trembling forest bears witness, comprehends it is the tree which has overcome the torrential waters. Its measure, now resting in long overdue quietude, gazes gratefully at heaven, for not even death can erase those precious defiant moments it spent on earth. Thank you.